Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to help you to create a game plan. I'm also going to tell you how you can make decisions on the paddle court and how you can play like a team. Today we are in Noordwijk in Vinkenveld and I'm going to start right now. Okay. Ah, lekker boelie! And we have sales on justpaddle.com.
I like it.
You like it? Good match. Tip number one, warm up and test. So if you're playing against somebody that you don't know yet, you need to warm up and maybe try to see where their technique is terrible. So warm up and play specific shots on purpose to test out your opponent. Yeah, so I need to test Sasha's forehand, I need to test Sasha's backhand, I need to test how she handles the glass or how she handles the corner. Yeah, so I already have my game plan. And when she's at the net, I also play slow balls, fast balls, forehand volley, backhand volley, high backhand volley, lob, and test it out. Tip number two is start cross courts. So if you don't know yet how your opponent is going to play, start to play cross courts. So if I'm on the right side, every single ball that I'm going to play is going to be in that corner. My partner will do the same thing. And we also discuss this game plan. And this is how we start, and we take it from there to retrieve more information of our opponents. So it's more still like a testing phase. Tip number three, beat the cross. So you've just been playing cross courts, you and your partner. Who won the most points? So have a look if your partner is better than cross courts on the other side, or if you are better to cross courts on the other side. If you analyze this information while you're on the bench, for instance, so you is 2-1, you're on the bench, you're talking with your partner, you have 1 minute of the time. Who won the most points? Okay, let's try to get one of you in the cross more. So that means that if my partner is better, I'm gonna play straight because my partner can help and he can play more cross courts because he is better than the guy on the other side. Tip number four, who is better of your side? Is your partner on the left side better or are you on the right side better? Because if you know who is better, you can adjust your game plan to get your partner more involved in the game. So many people experience the fridge. The best player is not getting any of the balls. So if I am on the left side and I play cross courts, my partner will not get the ball so often. So if I play on the right side, and I play a lot of cross courts, my partner on the left cannot interfere in the game. So then playing cross courts might not be the best option for me. So if I want my partner to be more in the game, I'm going to play the balls more in the corner or more straight, because then my partner can help me out. Because then my partner can play in the middle. This is the same on the left side. So if I am on the left side and I play my forehand volleys in that corner, my partner cannot help me. But if I'm playing the balls in the center of the court, this player on the right side can do more and maybe play aggressive with the backhand or tap out, drop shot, anything. This works even better if the player here is left-handed. You can play in a way that the cross courts is better. So if I'm much better than the guy across of me, I'm going to play there in the cross. If my partner is better, I'm gonna play in that corner or down the middle, so my partner can help me and he can play everywhere he wants. So these are the easiest tactics that you can do, but there is more. Tip number five, the temperature. So the temperature is quite important in your game plan because this is deciding how aggressive you can play. Is it cold? Like here is winter time, I'm freezing. So I cannot smash that often. So we should make a game plan that is not so based on aggressive play, but more on more building. You can play slower, or maybe you can win a lot of points by playing a faster fibra or bandeja. If it's summertime, you can play a more aggressive game. So if at the end of this video we will create the plan, temperature is something that you need to have in mind. So even though you play indoor, it's faster than outdoor, but in this facility is quite cold, like most of the facilities, but maybe you're playing in a facility where there is a heater or whatever, that it's warmer, then you can play more aggressive. Tip number 6, what court are you playing on? Are you playing on a fast court or a slow court? A court with a lot of sand, a court with less sand. A court with less sand tends to be slower. A court with more sand tends to be faster and it shoots through, so it's more aggressive, you can volley better. If you play like on the Mondo grass or a court with no sand, playing a lot of straight might not be a good option because the balls tend to bounce quite up and have no speed at all. So the balls, you do a lot and the court gives you nothing back. So you should play more into the corners with the volleys and the overheads when playing on this no sand court. So the court is one of the most important aspects on how to design your game plan. Because that means with this forehand volley, I might need to go to the corner. And even though I have this forehand volley, I might still need to go to the corner. Or your game plan should involve more shots to the fins. So considering the court and the temperature is very important in your game plan. Tip number 7, your opponent's strength and weakness technique-wise. So what shots are very good from your opponent that you have to consider? Because if your game plan that you have created involves high lobs, but your opponent has a very good smash, it might not be a very good idea to do that. So in the technique of your opponents is a lot of information. For instance, if they have only a bandeja, it would be very good to play the lob and to go to the net, because if they only play the bandeja and they hit here, it's very easy for you to win the point. So you need to find the strengths and the weaknesses in their technique. Maybe they are in the forehand grip with the forehand volley, and just by playing one ball to the backhand is winning a point. So maybe you should try to not be so self-centered or to think of yourself too much. Look to the other side, because every opponent has a weakness. Tip number 8, the change. This is the most common mistake that I see on the court, is people are playing a match, they just lost the game, it's 3-0, and when they change, they go directly to the other side of the court. No, you have 1 minute to think of a plan on how to beat your opponent. So if you won or lost, well, if you won, you can go to the other side, because whatever you're doing is working, you don't have to change. If you're losing, you need to change something. So when it's 2-1, 3-0, well, you're changing, you have 1 minute. So take that minute. Go off the court, have some water, take a banana, talk to your partner about the game plan, because everything we just discussed is a lot of information and you need to digest this with your partner on the bench. Tip number 9 is look where your opponents are positioned. So if your opponents are very close to the net, maybe you should play some lobs. If your opponents are very far from the net, maybe you should play down on the feet. So if I am playing, my partner should have a look and tell me where they are positioned. If my partner is playing, I'm not watching my partner, I'm watching to the other side, because then I know where the opponents are positioned. So knowing your opponent's position can help you a lot, because maybe you're lobbing all the time and your lob is amazing, but the opponents are really far from the net, so then it doesn't really work. There's a lot of information on the court, and I think on your level nobody's positioned correctly. So there's also a lot of space. Even in the pros, sometimes they have to change the position based on what they think will happen, and that means that there's space somewhere else. So everybody is not always in the same position and in the position that you might expect them to be. Number 10 is a more challenging one, movement patterns. Everybody has movement patterns. I will show you a few that you can learn now, and you can have a look on if your opponents are doing this. So the easiest one is this one. So many players are in the right position, but maybe they're going forwards after they play the volley. Then there's a lot of space behind them. So there are so many players that play the volley, boom, and they step in and they wait on the same position. So many people, they hit and they stay, or they volley and they go in. You can lob them easily. So maybe they were in the right position when you were receiving the ball, but they are going forwards every single time. And that means that somebody that's going forwards is very vulnerable there, right behind them. Some people are very good in reading when you're playing the lob, so they already go back. So there are many good Dutch players that already do this. So the moment they see that my racket is open, they're going back and they're waiting for it. So then your partner needs to tell them, listen, he's already going back the moment you're preparing the racket. So that means that sometimes you have to play down and you can win a lot of points. So there's a lot of information in the movement patterns of your opponents, because sometimes even the players are not aware of this and they always do the same thing. 11, change your position. So maybe Sasha has an amazing vibra in the corner and this is her best shot. If I go in over the line and I block her vibra, it doesn't work anymore because I can block it. So then she's forced to play in the center of the court, which might not be her favorite position to play in. And then you kind of disarm her weapon. So knowing where you lose a lot of points is important. So also tell your partner, because then you can disarm your opponent. And also it means that maybe because you both change position, it works better. So the game plan would be lob and go in a little bit in defense. And your game plan at the net maybe does not even change because you're winning points at the net. The only thing is you're not breaking the serve of your opponent. So maybe you should have or consider that you're both changing position. Tip number 12, your opponent's favorite patterns. So your opponents have patterns. They have them consciously but also unconsciously. So sometimes they don't think they have any patterns, but a lot of players, when they hear at the net, every forehand volley goes to the corner because that's their favorite angle. So if you know these things, you can also change your position depending on what's going to happen. It helps to disarm your opponent's weapons, but also sometimes they have a pattern that is not working. So every time they have a high backhand volley, they play it straight and you get the ball back and you can win the net. So then if you find a pattern that is not working of your opponent, you can exploit it. So then you can play every single ball in defense. First we're going high to his backhand and then we win the point. Or he's playing a bandeja. Every time he plays a bandeja, he's staying back. Okay, now it's easy. This is the game plan. We're gonna lob over the player on the left because every time he's playing the bandeja from here, he is staying back because he's too lazy or too late or too slow to get back to the net. That's how we win the point. So this is fundamental, guys, that you understand patterns and also how to read patterns. So it's fundamental that you're watching the other side a lot and don't think about yourself too much. Look to the other side of the court because there's so much information there that you can use to win the point. So watch the other side. So last step, step number 13 or tip, whatever you want to call it, is creating the plan. So all this information that you have in this video, you can write down and find your best game plan. So you need a game plan to win against weaker opponents and players on the same level. If your opponents are better, you might need to change something. But it's good to start the match with a game plan that works really well for you. So that could be playing chiquitas, going to the net. So a game plan would be is that you always start to pressure the player on the left because of the level of your team is. This can be every single thing. So you need to ask the following questions. What are my favorite shots? What does my teammate like to do? What is her best shot? Are we good in defense or better in attack? Also body position. Are we both tall or is one of the players on the right maybe smaller? He needs to play from further away from the net. So then we can create this game plan. And I would highly recommend to have one basic structure that you play against players that are lower level or the same level. And once the match continues, you can adjust your game plan based on the weaknesses of your opponents. So my favorite game plan in defense is, I'm gonna tell it, is to lob everything on the left shoulder of the left shoulder of the player on the right. So he is getting a lot of shots in this angle, and I'm working with the player on the left. So the player on the left is gonna help him out. It's gonna play here, and then I play low again. So I play high and low in the combination to make the player on the left work his ass off. That's what I do in defense. In attack, mostly with most players, we try to maintain the cross. So if I'm playing on the left, I play most of my shots cross court to try to win the point. We make a combination of playing the first volley to the center of the court by luring one of the players to the middle of the court and then play in the open space. It's as simple as that. And whenever the ball is kind of different or lower or higher, we may play more to defense. But this is the most basic game plan that I play. It works against a lot of players in the Netherlands, but if I am in Spain and it's warmer, my volley to the center has to be maybe a bit slower or maybe a bit shorter, or it's so hot that I have to play to the corner. It doesn't have to be more different than that. You can steal my game plan and always start in this way and then take it from there. If you have any more questions about the game plan, please let me know. Also, you can send in your match and I can analyze it for you on the membership platform. So if you feel like that you're missing a game plan or you need some tips and tricks to improve your tactics, record your match, send it to me and I can review it. That could be helpful for you if you want to improve your tactics. So anyway, thank you all for watching and I'll see you next episode. Hasta luego, ciao, adios.